Hi, this is Angela, and today I'm looking at what I've been working with in the dance over a long time, which is called Dancing with the Grid. And the grid is used in energy work and healing. It's actually being measured as well by certain scientists. Some people think it's connected to the ley lines, but I was told no, it's not the ley lines. The ley lines are our energy system in our earth that Indigenous cultures and ancient cultures have been enlightening us about those ley lines, and they have used song and dance to share communication along the ley lines for thousands of years. The grid, however, is more like the subtle body that we find in the energy body, in the chakra system of the body, in the Kundalini system. The grid is like a blueprint that now in quantum science, they're starting to look at when you start to look at atoms or observe something, the observation and the relationship of the observer changes the state of the atom, not just in that moment, but its past expression and its future expression. So quantum science is talking about the nature of reality is based on our consciousness and our perception. And in the same way, the grid system is a thought form. It's a consciousness that is constantly there, and it's holding life for the planet itself. So you could say for the body, each individual body has an etheric blueprint. You can see it in the aura, but it's much more complex than just the aura. It's an energy blueprint that also can change in any moment. And this is what I started to experience in the dance. I'm going to just check my sound settings at the moment because I didn't. So yeah, it looks like it's all talking and walking with the divine. So this energy blueprint that is in the grid of that is energetically holding life on Earth is something that I danced with, and I didn't know what I was dancing with. So I wanted to look at what that means for us as a species now. In the dance is how I experience it, but we're also seeing that shift in our consciousness as a species, where we're not just looking at what are the results of the past, what is the truth about the past, but we're looking at how is our perception of reality actually shaping our perception of the past, our perceptions of who we are, our perception of the self, our perception of the collective purpose of humanity and why we're here, and certainly our projection of, from that perception of the species and its purpose, what we're going to project into our future. So I was obsessed with cultural dance from the 90s. I became like a aficionado of cultural dance, from Lebanese weddings to dancing at Caribbean party, after party at some club on Oxford Street, which I still don't remember where that was, and discovering a lot of cultural dances, modern dances, shamanic dance. And in that, when you get into different dance forms, you lose that conscious mind. It doesn't go away, but you lose that attachment to the conscious mind as a sense of who you are. And I put in the description that for me, I was experiencing, unlike Madonna, that I'm a material girl dancing in a material world. I was experiencing I'm a non-material girl dancing in a material world. I was experiencing not out-of-body experiences, but a feeling of that subtle body that was beyond and experienced in my physical body at the same time. So I could, for example, be in a workshop where I would be with eyes closed and experience more the subtle, non-material sense of myself. But equally, I could be dancing with a group of Serbians in a Club on Oxford Street, and stumbling through the left-right patterns of their circle dancing and improvising and just laughing, and also then discovering that it didn't matter if I knew this. Eventually I kind of stumbled into the steps and I got lost in that dance, and I didn't have to get it right. I was in the collective, in the group, and the party was holding me. So it didn't mean that I was out of consciousness. I was very, I wasn't in the individual sense of self. I was in a collective self, which meant at the energy level, I was no longer worried about, am I doing this right or wrong? I wasn't thinking, how do I get this right, these new steps I'm learning? I'm allowing the moment to let me have a lot of fun. And in that, the collective joy allows a lot of holding for life. It's just a celebration in that moment. So as I've said in other videos, I've been obsessed with why in the dance can I have that extraordinary joy, but then you go back to like ordinary life and it's, yeah, life, right? But it's not that extraordinary joy. And I'm on that journey now to discovering the extraordinary joy of every moment, which I feel is that impetus between quantum reality that we're looking at now. We're looking at it through the scientists, but also the science has been explored through pop culture, through YouTube. It's been explored in many ways. So what does that say about our appreciation of the dance of life, of how this planet has evolved over thousands of millennia to give us life? What does it say about if we change our perception of reality, of who we are? If it's not about material success, then what's it about? And because non-material contemplation, our purpose, our existence, and why we're here, has been opened to so much contentious positions. Perhaps it could be through religion, or perhaps it could be through political structures of why we're here, or how we should structure our culture if we're here. For me, dance is a much more organic structure, and it's also led me to the organic nature of the subtle bodies and of the sacred energies that are in the grid and that are in the energy system of the body. So for those of you who don't know about the energy system in the body, I'm going to simplify it badly because it's not something that I have studied it, but it's not something that is fixed in stone. There are these 7 chakras that resonate through the spine of the body, and there is also Kundalini energy that moves up the spine that then helps the chakras rotate. They're vibrational. They're not necessarily physical things, however they are connected to certain glands and organs in those locations in the 7 areas of the body. However, if you think about the crown, it's above the actual physical gland that it's connected to, so that the radiation of the chakras moves out beyond the physical. And so this is where Western science may not really get this energetic science that's been taught for thousands of years in ancient cultures and in our modern cultures today. Many cultures actually still work with the Kundalini system and the chakra system. It's not like it stopped. It just hasn't been in empirical and sciences that came through the Enlightenment period that largely came from Europe. So if we think about the subtle body then, and the energy that it vibrates with, it goes beyond the physical body. It just does. It also then can go into the layers of the energy body that radiate out into an energy bubble called, we might call it the aura, with layers to that. The layers are not necessarily fixed, the layers are qualities that can shift. However, there is a certain love and intent of the energy system that holds our body. that love that holds your body is what keeps you alive. And so now if you've watched any of the near-death experiences, that's very popular now as a topic, you will hear people say when they leave their body, they begin to see that there is a physical body there, and there's another energy that exists for them. The love in that energy body that they start to experience, some of them start to experience, is overwhelming. So it's like trying to fit an enormous love to hold that physical body, and that physical body also has a divine beauty and love woven in it. So some of us who struggle with our body, accepting our body, one of the problems with our material world that we get fixated on is that we don't like the appearance of our physical body, or we might be shorter than somebody else. Compare our physical body. We lose the love that actually creates this physical body. We lose the perception about the love that allows this physical body to encapsulate this incredible life force spirit that holds the body. And this is where, when I started dancing with different world dancers, I started to realize that I was dancing like a dance that maybe started 1,000 years ago from Brazil, let's say, like Afro-Samba, and I would start to experience how that dance came from a culture that was oppressed, but also a culture that used the opportunity of oppression to discover how to express their bodies in a very victorious and beautiful way, and enlightened me to that collective dance. If you look at some of the Ileaye dances of Bahia, where they're celebrating the beauty of their culture, the roots of it were through slavery, often being transported, migrated from Africa, but they were creating this new, just exuberant celebration of their life in a different land. And I used to experience, when I was in the Afro-Samba, that I was just this person 1,000 years later or 500 years later experiencing the dance after many thousands of other people had danced that same dance, and that exuberance was moving through me. And so if I look at it through some of the quantum thoughts that are now coming into our culture, it's like I could still experience the exuberance. It might be Angelala's version of exuberance, but it's the same exuberance that came from that culture as celebrating itself thousands of years, 500 years before. So it was the same support of life that was coming through the dance. And I wasn't in the source country dancing it. I was in New York dancing it, and I come from another country besides the USA. So it didn't matter where I was, I could tap into this ongoing celebration of the life force that had come from thousands of years before. Dance, unlike written history, is not chronicled through writing. It's not even easy to capture dance through the music. The music can transform, except some of the folkloric music has survived, and some of the dance forms have survived, but they also morph, they grow, they bring in other conversations with other cultures, other big shifts in the culture and in the land mass movements and the migrationary movements of the world. The dance is a breathing, living thing, but it's always constantly tapping into what's supporting us through the earth. So for me, that suggests that right now, dance, and it could be quantum science, it could be other fields that we're starting to question, what is our purpose here? Who are we as a species? Not just me as an individual, but what are we doing here? What's this all about? What's this yearning for material success going to get us? If it gets us to a certain level of material success, then what? All of us are having those questions, all sort of looking at wars and the state of the planet and the species going, well, and that's an important question. Underneath us is this earth that's been sustaining us for millennia upon millennia. And in the dance, what I experienced was many aspects of the earth itself. That's what world dance healing classes offer to people who come. It's your personal relationship to this life force, to this earth. So some of the times I started to have my brain revolutionized was with Juji Soboslai, started body ecology. And Shushi would get us to lie on the surface of a workshop dance floor and then ask us to feel how we connect to the earth while lying on our backs. I don't know if we were on our bellies, that was another class, I think, but on our backs, just feeling down into the earth, not the building itself we were in, but beyond the building, down deep into the earth and down deep into any layer of the earth. So I started to notice that with my sensory perception and my imagination, I could feel beyond this physical body, beyond this physical building, beyond the ground of the earth, to maybe different layers. And that was quite extraordinary. It was like being an archaeologist mining down into the body of the earth through sensory perception, the extrasensory perception of my body, which we all have. We might have subdued those capacities, but we're all born with those extrasensory perceptions. We have a nervous system that moves through proprioception, and it's only through proprioception that we know how to walk as a child. We don't have that innate in us. We have to learn how to come from crawling to upright, and a lot of it using our proprioception in the nervous system, external nervous system, and that itself starts to feel to anywhere in the universe when you start to use it in that sense. The Tibetans and other mystics and other Eastern traditions have taught that extrasensory perception through the nervous system and the extrasensory nervous system that comes from our physical nervous system. So for me, that taste with Shuji Zoboslai of the different layers of earth, and a question, of course, of what might the earth have for you, and that rocked my hemispheres and some other spheres in me, because it was almost like I had permission at that time to relate to the earth, to have a relationship, to have a question of what can I ask from you. Many years later, with Helen Barton, I got to ask what I could give to the earth. And that was an interesting relationship of my energy system then being able to transmit love to the earth, to transmit a feeling of oneness, or essentially just feeling of giving to the earth as well. So we have within our subtle body, in our imagination and in our heart, very strong connection to the earth because we're born from it. We're like a tree, we're like a plant, we're like a baby coming from another mother of this species of humanity. So we are born with an instant relationship to the earth, and being able to do that in the workshop opened my consciousness to the different layers. And then later with Helen Barton, being able to feel that the grid, the energetic grid that supports the earth as well, was something that I unconsciously was relating to, but never actually knew about. And this is what the dance can open you up to, your senses feel, not that you're just a little human creature in a bunch of other humans on this species, but that there's within this extraordinary body and nervous system and extrasensory perception of this energy system that we have, a beautiful communication, life that supports us, the earth that supports us, and also beyond earth into our solar system, and beyond that into the galaxy and the universe that encompasses our solar system. And we're not, it's much larger than that sense of that we're not alone, which I think those people exploring other earth life of this planet and the question and obsession with that, it's an incredible sense that within our own body is inherent abilities to connect to life, the love that supports our body, the life force, to the energetic blueprint that came into shape that allowed the human species to evolve on this planet. And if you think about that for a little bit, It's very humbling, but also empowering at the same time. And I think that's a shift in consciousness now with our beginning to explore quantum sense of the self, that the perception of reality is what creates reality. And then that in fact, if we look at our perception of ourselves, we can change our future. We can create a different future to the one we see now. We can create a different political structure. We can create anything if we focus on it and if we want it. What is happening with that sense of the self that's shifting is that we're opening up to the non-material aspects of the very body that we experience, of the feeling nature of ourselves. And once you experience that feeling nature, it's very similar to me when I just laid on the ground and Shushi said, allow yourself to go deep into the earth layers, even deeper. And perhaps you want to go even deeper and start to allow myself to experience other relationships that I might have to this environment around me. And it allowed me to see in Shushi's workshop that the enormous potential in my body is there. It's not something I have to find outside. It's in me. It's here. It's just sensory exploration. And each time you explore, more can be experienced or different or other or new relationships can be experienced in quite extraordinary ways. And that's what I feel like the quantum perception is opening us up to, that there is a different way that we can look at reality. It may, to the logical mind, feel weird or illogical, or how is that possible, or beyond the laws of physics. And indeed, it's supposed to be, because it's innate and it's not something that needs to be linearly mapped out, but it definitely in a much more spherical manner, like the grid that supports the Earth system, and also like, as the Sufis used to dance, that spherical nature and the ellipse of the orbits of different planets are much more how we can start to understand that at any point you are that center in the middle of an ever-moving orbit that allows you to experience different parts of that orbit at any time. So you may have a dark night of the soul, but consequently, because it's part of a continuing evolutionary process, you will then experience a different day of your soul. You will experience different elements of the personality. You will experience different ways that you can relate to yourself, but they're all parts of a continuing, evolving sense of the self, which philosophers did talk about at some point, but science from the Enlightenment period started to, minimize those parts of the sophists or the other Socrates type processes where we used to always find things in a constant dialogue. It became much more empirically based evidence of material consciousness that started to become the dominant way that we look at reality. And right now, that's changing. That's exciting for me. So these are more the philosophical principles of what dance and world dance healing offers. And I wanted to share those ideas that right now we're touching on the sacred. We're touching on what's beyond our linear logic and tapping back into what a lot of ancient cultures have paved the way for us. And if you want to begin to feel that and experience that in yourself at a more embodied level, that's what world dance healing is. We don't do any intellectual processing, but we actually do experiential learning, where I give you questions like Shushi gave me, of a way to start to feel that relationship with yourself, to your environment, and to that nature of your body that has within it the universal system that we all are supported by. And so I put the link in the show notes, dancing at Amira's Palace, Sydney on Thursdays, and also April 3rd in the North USA and April 4th in Sydney, Australia online. I'll be doing classes as well. So check out the description with those links. And I look forward to hearing how you've been looking at yourself in this ever-evolving time where we're being asked to feel. What is it that we're doing here in this material world? Thanks for watching.